Scientific discovery has been a hallmark characteristic here at Redox for more than 30 years, and there's even more optimism for the future. I'm speaking with two of the big reasons for that. This is the Redox Grows Technical Podcast. I'm Jim Morris, and joining me, Dr. Gifford Gillette and Dr. Debatosh.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for your time, both of you, and I want to start with some really exciting news on some presentations that you made, because I think it speaks right to the credibility of our research efforts. Giff, I'll start with you. The Biostimulants World Congress in Barcelona, you had a speaking engagement there. Tell me about how that went and how well received Redox is.
I think it went well. We had the opportunity to speak at the conference. That's not a given. This is not the type of conference that you can just apply and you're allowed to participate. There's a certain amount of scientific rigor that's a part of that Congress. It's a unique conglomeration of industry leaders in the private sector and then academics, and so it threads a really interesting needle in that regard. So not only were we able to be there because of the science that we've done and that we've backed our technology with, but also because of RDX-N, this technology and how it relates to nitrogen efficiency for crop inputs. And so one of the reasons we were also able to present at this conference was because of the genetic expression work that we had done through RNA sequencing that Dr. Das has been working on, and we have been really researching for more than a year. We were able to present there in Barcelona at the World Biostimulant Congress.
Fantastic. And also, Dr. Das, you were at the U.S. Biostimulant Summit in North Carolina. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so Jim, that U.S. Biostimulant Summit took place in the Research Triangle Park, which is like a ag mecca for U.S. biostimulants. And it was not an exhaustive meeting, but more like industry leaders, research scientists, and regulatory role managers from top companies like Mosaic Company, Syngenta, ADM, Wilbur, Ellis, Wellen Biosciences, and also representatives from regulatory bodies like APCO and GRAIN, which is connecting growers and researchers in the biostimulant landscape. And so the focus was not only on the science, the focus was not only does it work, but more on how does it work, how do we improve it, and how do we label it as a biostimulant? What are the claims the company is making? What are the labels they are putting on the product? And can they be regulated? And how will they be regulated? So I feel that the industry has become more focused on whether it works, from whether it works to how does it work, and how should we put it forward for more trust with growers and industry leaders and distributors and retailers. And that's why the 3 certifications from TFI for Redox products is a big thing.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So the Fertilizer Institute, rigorous independent research. We are the only company with multiple certified biostimulants with Velox, Mainstay SI, Mainstay Calcium 2.0. So we have 3. There's well over 1,000 biostimulant products out there, and we're the only one with multiples. You commented on that. I'd like to hear from you, Giff. How important is that in terms of credibility? Because not everyone in this realm is doing what they say they're doing.
Yeah, well, when it comes to like a grower's perspective, an action, whatever that action is, whatever that input is, that action is right if it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and the beauty of the biotic community. That comes from Aldo Leopold. It's a land ethic. And so I think it's really important for growers to know that we have that certification for those 3 different technologies. And it does speak, I think, an important part that Dr. Das brought up is to do that, you have to speak to why it works, not just that it does work. And so I think it's really important that we answer the whys for biostimulants, because it's new in the industry and people have a lot of questions about how they work because it's so different than the yesteryear of inputs with synthetics.
Yeah, we know better now and we need to prove it out, and I'm glad that we can do that. The 3 criteria for TFI would be efficacy, safety, and composition. Those are critical elements for growers. Yes. I want to ask you both about this incredible venue we're in right now. It's different, it's very, very exciting, and it speaks to our exciting future. Giff, why don't we start? Tell me about where we're doing this visit.
Yeah, we're in the lab. We're just about to move in full time. It's been a process over the last year to get to this point. We're really excited about the opportunity that it gives us to expand not only the breadth but the depth of our research. With this breadth and depth also comes additional scientists. So we're bringing on an additional scientist this year for this lab where he's going to be working full time. So we're really excited about that and what it's going to be meaning for our future research here at Redox. It's going to change quite a bit.
3 PhDs will be on staff. That is phenomenal.
I would like to add to that, the main purpose of this new lab would be new product development, to increase our product categories, to improve our current top performing technologies, to make them more shelf stable, to make them more plant available, and to protect, for example, active ingredients from those biostimulants from oxidation so that they can work longer when it's put in the field. So that's the major focus of this lab.
Something that's already great and it's getting even better. That's tremendously promising. Why don't we start with 2025 research? We do a lot of it in-house, and we also have CROs, third parties, universities that help as well. Because again, we need to prove out what our technology is. It's still new to some folks, although we have some long-time, very satisfied customers as well. Giff, tell me about 2025 and review some of the major priority areas for our research, and 2026, how that's evolving and some of the projects that you and the team are working on.
Yeah, 2025 was really probably our last intensive year of RDX-N research efforts at field scale, with a third year with CROs, with university collaborations, and then this deep dive into genetic work that is going to lead to some publications, or at least a publication, and what was part of the reason why we were able to present at the World Biostimulant Congress. And so with that constituted, I looked at our folders, we had 139 trials that we conducted this last year, and there was a huge emphasis there in RDX-N, but across other products for sure, as you might guess, with 139 trials, but also a major focus within that. Almost a quarter, actually a little over a quarter of those trials, we looked at how redox active molecules influence the crop. And we looked at 14 different crops. And specifically what we were looking at is how redox active molecules influence EH, which influences crop response. And so what we found is, I think we did 34 trials where we looked at this connection between redox active molecules and EH, or redox potential, and what we found is on 77 pairwise comparisons that when we reduced EH with a redox active molecule, whether that was RDX-N or H85 or DiCap, whatever that redox active molecule was, 84% of the time we reduced EH and we increased yield. So the most simple way to think about it is the redox active molecule helped reduce stress, which led to increases in yield 84% of the time across 14 crops and 34 trials. That wouldn't have been possible without Dr. Doss and what he's learned with measuring EH, and I'm sure he could speak to that. I don't know if we want to get into that, but that was a huge effort in 2025. Where we were, what we understood about EH then, to start the year, and where we are now is really quite incredible with what we know and how we can utilize that to make simple recommendations for growers in order to get the best out of their inputs and get the best crop.
Why don't we talk about that, Dr. Doss? So this was a major focal point for you to make sure that we can have this area where we want it. Also, the research papers are incredibly important. I look up, and all the time you have a new research paper. It's really cool, so thank you for your contribution. So tell me about your positive feelings about the momentum from 2025 and where we're headed in 2026 in this critical area, because it does help growers with yield and quality.
Yeah, so I think 2025 was a major year for our research because we made streamlined, organized research compared to previous years like 2024 when I joined Redox. And not only that, we had some exciting new trials going on. For example, we tried manure trials with bioinputs. We tried water efficiency trials with our Redox products. And we did improve our turf trial measures, because the thing is, turf measurements are a bit different from how you put the ag measurements. So that was really important. And then we also tried with biological products containing microbes, several of them, because there is a plethora of biological products in the markets. Most of them do not work, as we have seen in the recent publications. So we are set out to find out which ones work and bring it out to the growers. And this is one of the major focal points in 2026 with this lab especially. So on other fronts, I think the most important thing was we prepared lab assays for quick screening, root elongation assays, nitrate reduction assays. And also our main focus was on RDX-N, mostly genetic expression, as Dr. Gillette has pointed out. We have done already a third-party genetic expression test and ourselves also, and we have seen tremendous results on how it works. That's the point. We have seen over 2 or 3 or 5 years that RDX-N is working in the field, helping the plants maintain yield at even reduced rates of nitrogen. But how does it work? We really came out with that data this year. And so that was very important. Another focal point was, as Dr. Gillette pointed out, was use of redox potential to correlate to yield. That could be used as a prediction capacity, prediction ability for the growers. So they can measure the redox potential in their plant and then predict yield, whether the plant is going to succeed or not in maintaining the yield.
RDX-N, and of course we have a tremendous product line, but it's so significant for growers in terms of getting that nitrogen use down, but maintaining that efficiency. Giff, you have a farming background and also tremendous research background, of course. How excited are you for it? And it's already making a real difference. And of course, Darren Moon, our owner, founder, and CEO, had been working on it for many years. It's patented and proven. Your degree of excitement for RDX-N and what it means for growers.
Yeah, it's a good time to take a deep breath. With one of our distribution partners, an agronomist, was looking at all of the information we have on RDX-N, and he literally said, there is so much information, I don't know where to start, Giff. You gotta guide me. And so we start with a cropping system, and that's just a credit to what the amount of resources that Redox has given us to answer those really important questions that we hear, whether it's at the US Biostimulant Conference or the World Biostimulant Congress. How does it work? We've answered those questions. We've shown the efficacy, and now it's fully available in the marketplace. It was really neat from just a fundamental standpoint when it comes to One Health and what we try to do at Redox. You know, we're learning more, and so we're trying to do better. And one of those ways is we saw on over 25,000 acres last year reduced nitrogen inputs. That's better for everyone. That's better for the grower. That's better for us. That's better for the crop. And so we're really proud of that, and we know that it's making not only an impact on the growers but on the industry as people try to chase that efficiency of up to 50% reduction in nitrogen applications. And so that means a lot, I think, to everybody in Redox and everybody that works with us and for us. And so I think that's a fair statement in terms of the excitement of RDX-N in 2026.
We want to keep in mind real-world application for growers. We've talked a little bit about that, but I want to stress that again. Why is it in a grower's best interest to have a plant that is in balance with their charge? Why don't I start with you?
Yeah, it comes back to those inputs, right? Charge balance is about ion balance, and most inputs, all inputs, come with a charge, whether it's monovalent, divalent, whether it's nitrogen or phosphorus or potassium. And to be honest, most of the time we're overwhelming those cropping systems with charge because in some cases it's been cheap insurance, and of course that's changing now. And so instead of thinking about pounds per acre of those inputs, now we're trying to help people think about charge per acre and how that influences the balance of the crop. And so that's a heavy focus, and the lab is going to play an important role in understanding and measuring those ion charges and how they influence crops. And that's a process we're well into when it comes to how charge influences a potato crop or a perennial crop.
Das, your comment as well on redox active molecules, plant charge balance, they may still need a little explaining for the growing community, but how vital they are to the bottom line of a grower and the health of agriculture in the long term.
So Jim, you're correct in saying they still need a long time, because I have been struggling for the last 2 years in making it as simplified as possible for the growers to understand. But I would try to simplify it in this podcast. So RAM, which stands for redox active molecules, are basically compounds which regulate the flow of energy within a system, whether it be plant or soil. Okay, so since they are regulating the flow of energy, they are stabilizing the internal system within the plant, and that's tied to plant charge balance. Each nutrient flowing in the plant has a negative or a positive charge, but overall the plant should have a neutral charge, a balance between positive and negative. And what RAM does is help the plant achieve that charge balance. So when there is a balanced charge within the plant using RAM technology, which Redox products have, the plant can focus on using its resources for growth and yield rather than spending it on correcting that charge balance. So that's very important for any plant to grow optimal yield and with quality.
Giff, let's start with you. Your optimism for the future as to how far we've come over the 30 plus years, your tenure here as well, and then the excitement for the future. It seems like breakthroughs are happening right and left.
Every year seems that way. You look at the Biostimulant Congress and what on a world stage, what that has meant, how that has grown, not only on the scientific side and the amount of academics that are being involved in that, but on the industry side, it's really flipping, the applications of yesteryear on its head. It's the future of agriculture. It's a great opportunity right now to be involved in agriculture with biostimulants, to be learning. And the other thing that I would say is there's the World Biostimulant Congress is coming to the US this year. It's going to be in California. And so I think it's a great opportunity. We're so grateful for the growers that work with us, the agronomists, and also the third-party organizations where it's unique in the private sector to have such a strong research group and organization of scientists. And that's going to be a great opportunity for them to see. One of the great things about the World Biostimulant Congress is you have it right in front of your face, the values of biostimulants. And I think one of the things that's really neat that they do is they show how they go far beyond just the categories of biostimulants. It's not enough to just have a humic or just a seaweed. You need to get into the bioactive compounds within those biostimulant categories to understand that. And so I'm really excited for our collaborating organizations we're super grateful for that have the opportunity to go and understand at depth. And that also helps us. The more they understand when we work on those protocols together with them, as well as with growers, we learn in that process. We learn and we grow together. And that's, I think, a great way to summarize my excitement for the future. Is we're not working in a vacuum. We're really grateful that we got the ranking this year in a world sense for a ranking for biostimulants, 19th, and then in the top 10 in the US. And in the same breath, that hasn't been enough. We're going to continue. I think a great example of that, we're not satisfied with that, is this lab and the opportunities we have to learn and grow. We've done some amazing things. Redox has started this trajectory that I came on to be a part of 4 years ago, and I'm so grateful for that. And it's going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to learn despite the successes that we've had in 2025 and in past years. That 2026 is looking to be an exciting one as well, as you mentioned, for breakthroughs.
And Dr. Das, I imagine your optimism's pretty high as well.
Yeah, my optimism stems from this new lab, Jim. So I think I could think about 3 major focus areas: new product development, improving our existing top technologies, making them more shelf stable, making them more protected from external factors in the fields. And the third part, which is more important, is why does it work? Science-backed solutions of why Redox products work. Redox products are highly efficient in fields, but how do they work? That is the science-backed solution which the regulatory bodies are looking after if you want to be labeled as a biostimulant. And that brings confidence for the growers and the retailers in selling, in getting your product, using them in their fields. Yeah.
Very exciting. And I'm sure we'll be talking again soon because there's so much happening. Thank you both for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
And that will wrap up this podcast episode. You can find out more at redoxgrows.com. Thanks for joining us.